The title is a little confusing, but I wanted to talk about one of the biggest lies being the self-made man story. This story tells us that some of the greatest people have what it takes to be rich and famous, or just have to work hard, which is not always true, and this can be a foolish endeavor, and a lot of people partake in it. Though I want to clarify, I am not hating anyone who is trying to make it. We all in one way or another are trying to find ways to improve our lives, but I want to tackle the idea of a self-made man that is a key pillar of motivation behind the hustle culture. From the get-go, we know how difficult it is to become profitable and to be filthy rich. Sometimes it is not even logistical in some cases, which I will also talk about. A lot of it comes down to skill and dedication, which are totally in your control, but you also require connections and luck, which can happen, but the skills will always be tipped against you, and people don't always know what the actual odds are and what truly is at stake. Sure, we all love to hear success stories of people who actually achieve their dreams, but it's a very rare thing, of course, and people can make businesses for themselves and actually make a living, but not to the millionaire status. We all are thinking of that when we all think about success. Some of the biggest contributors to this hustle lifestyle are celebrities or influencers who give their dumbass idea to people. The ones who act like the voice of the common people tend to be a little more annoying because they lack self-awareness. A lot of these people often either act like they came from the struggle because they started off as lower class, when in reality they were probably middle class at worst, or in some cases actually came from the struggle, but they forgot how lucky they were to have a breakthrough. I wanted to talk about this because of the many lies we often hear, where people lie to fans or spectators. They talk about working hard, but we all have different things going on and have different needs that need to be addressed. So it seems a little tone deaf when they tell people they're only broke because there is something inherently wrong with them as a person, instead of actually addressing some actual problems, like they might have health complications, bills, inability to gain capital from loans or investors, having people that need special care, or they blame the most misunderstood issue we all face: mental health issues. People really don't understand mental health issues and the real consequences. Take burnout, for example. It's single-handedly the reason a lot of aspiring people fade away. People simplify the issue and say that it's laziness, or even blame them for not having mental fortitude, which is very ironic considering to have mental fortitude, you need to take care of your mental health. A lot of people peddle these dangerous ideas and will often parrot a lot of this dangerous advice, like the Andrew Tate followers who would regurgitate a lot of his rhetoric when we know damn well he isn't the most honest person. His whole damn career was built on exploiting the weak, which is funny, because his reason to talk this crazy is because he believes he's considered a high-value man when he is a vulture. The idea of working hard isn't the problem, and I really don't want people to think I advocate for lazy workers or give people an excuse to give up. I just want to talk about the toxicity behind this hustle culture. So let's start with this big misconception of a self-made man that I have an issue with, which is selling the dream of being rich through hard work and dedication. A lot of these people belittle others for not optimizing their time to make millions, which I find hilarious because not all of us have the time or money to make insane investments for business ventures. Now, what is hustle culture? Hustle culture describes a common modern workplace environment that emphasizes hard work and long hours as the key to success. It's become increasingly popular recently, with many companies encouraging their employees to put in extra effort and work hours for better results. The hustle culture is a very dangerous lifestyle to partake in, and people tend to view it in a very materialistic way. Yeah, the problem is that people value someone based on their salary and the items they wear. Soon people started to adopt this as a successful life. It's not inherently bad to want to be better financially, but it isn't the lifestyle everyone should have, due to many reasons, and this idea has been pushed to the extreme. People soon start neglecting stuff like their hobbies and social life, and that is where the problem lies. When people start prioritizing their business and fail to develop a good work-life balance. Take video games, for example. They are not a bad hobby and to have, but lately, many people have started to look down on those who spend their free time on games. Many have said that they don't teach you anything useful or don't offer anything that can improve your life. That's just one of many examples of the negative aspects of hustle culture, where people started looking down on others for having friends and just enjoying life in general. A lot of people who are in this hustle culture sphere often make TikToks criticizing others. There's a lot more to life than getting money and spending it on luxuries, but a lot of young people don't get that and start working in their hopes of living their best lives after retiring in the late 20s to early 30s. This is not a luxury many people can have, and it's very uncommon for people to reach those heights, without any help, of course. It's not enough, and just having more than just hope and ambitions. There is nothing wrong with setting goals and working towards them, but it's insane to even hold yourself to these insane standards. Most companies take time to develop, and turning a profit is not something that happens immediately. Well, that is if they don't fail immediately. This lifestyle is just luxury that has been peddled to your average worker who lives an unfulfilling life and is stuck in what many would call the rat race. A lot of people work these grueling hours out of necessity, and they're not the main focus. We have to consider that after a certain point, wanting money outside of your needs eventually becomes a luxury, and that's the lifestyle most of these hustlers want. People just don't want to live boring lives where they work under someone. A lot of these hustlers want to take center stage and live a life of luxury without worry. One of the biggest groups that do this are the manosphere creators who instill their ideas into many young men, which on one end helps give hope into these often depressed and unfulfilled men, but the problem often comes with them selling you the dream instead of an actual product or actual business courses. A lot of it could be what I would call idiot's advice, which is advice that is either common sense or simple advice which we can find with a few Google searches. In fact, if you actually cared about your business knowledge, there are very useful YouTube videos that give you actual tips and guides, as well as a lot of books being accessible to people who want to study. These are essentially the modern day version of the snake oil salesman, who don't offer any meaningful advice whatsoever. I feel for a lot of these people who search, but the problem kind of just stems from them preying on ignorance and exploiting things like exclusivity by selling a dream as an opportunity. Hustle culture was a thing that was around for the longest time, especially during the 1970s, with better working conditions and incentives being the norm. People would obviously want to work harder for this possibility, which was the foundation of hustle culture. This was pushed by companies in order to secure company loyalty as well as improve performance, which helps employees, but the companies were the ones who were the true winners. Eventually, over time, with a lot of these changes in the market that helped many towards the goal of owning companies, as well as the advancements in technology, it was only natural that many would be interested in owning one. People understand that there is a real possibility to earn money through the internet. It's a very lucrative market for the idea of making extra money, so the bigger push for more independent business ventures and investments became a huge thing around the early 2000s. Hustle culture came in when many CEOs would talk about working crazy work hours. Elon Musk being a case in point with a statement he once said, "No one ever changed the world on 40 hours a week." This statement in of itself is not crazy, but it's the fact that this idea of CEOs working schedules being more than 70 plus hours is just insane for anyone, but we all have this misconception that all CEOs live and die for the company, which in some cases could be true, but it sets a dangerous precedent for many aspiring entrepreneurs to follow this to a T. Now, other people who also worsen the situation are rich people who either had advantages or privileges a lot of common people just don't have. The biggest case would be Elon Musk, whose whole business career is failing upwards. For example, his career in marketing is to sell to the Redditors, who often dick ride him, and to this day, people still listen to him. A lot of his endeavors and projects have had issues. Twitter's mixed reactions after his acquisition just proves he isn't the genius man we all thought he was. At one point, he was being compared to Tony Stark because of his quote-unquote intellect, which we all know at this point is all cap, and he is just a dumbass who tends to rewrite history to fit his own narrative, and has been proven time and time again he just lies to get what he wants. But he was so invested into his public image that he would soon talk about his hard life working through college. Elon goes as far as to talk about how he suffered through college life, and often tries to downplay the support he got from his father's Emerald Mines business. In 2019, he would talk about how his dad offered him no help when he moved away from South Africa, but the funny thing is that he would never mention the Emerald Mines 5 years prior in 2014. His own father has called him out as well as for lying on such a simple fact. Let's be real, he had an advantage most people don't have, which is the ability to move to countries for better opportunities. A lot of celebrities give a lot of tone-deaf opinions to us, and it's old. But people still listen to these opinions and uphold these beliefs. It has wiggled its way into the way we view relationships, especially on social media, where people start viewing relationships in a very materialistic way. You've seen it from both sides, where women won't date men who don't earn a certain amount of money, or they don't have certain luxuries that they are not worth it. Women are not the only ones who do that. We see that men also do it too when they talk down on other men. For the same reasons women judge, it's just a common thing to look down on someone for having no money, because money equals good. Remember when XQC was called out for his lazy content, and his only response to that was him just flexing money as a way to talk back? It's crazy, just how people perceive that as an own. Some of my own closest people have said some things about me for not making money and trying to question if I am satisfied with myself for not making millions, when in reality the only thing I truly want to do is make enough to live comfortably and have some extra cash to fund my hobbies. It's not that hard, you don't need a lot to live comfortably, but this culture has polluted the minds of many to think that this is needed to be happy. Luckily, a lot of people have wisened up and have made their opinions known that they don't think that this hustle culture is everything. In fact, a lot of young people have made active movements for taking better care of their mental health, like not busting your ass for a promotion that might not come. It's not that the youth are being lazy, it's just that they don't want to be exploited for minimal pay. And it shows with people setting up boundaries against these unfair work standards. Now, hustle culture has done some good to many people. We gave them a dream to chase. But it's just that, a dream. Something that hasn't happened. It can happen, but keep in mind that people just took hustle culture in the complete opposite direction. It's not about working smarter for many of these people, it's about just working for the sake of working. And this is an unhealthy thing to be doing, especially at a young age. You can dream about being a big star in life, but we have to keep in mind that people should not sacrifice your health for future prospect. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to mess around and have fun. But it comes with limits, like all things in life. The reason the government implemented working hours for people is to prevent any harm to one's body. Even though there are flaws in the system, they're still there to protect people. I especially want to say this to a lot of the young, impressionable people. Enjoy the time you do have, because not everyone has the opportunity to be rich and famous, so take your time to enjoy life and maybe get the necessary experience before taking a risk. As long as you do things within reason, you can enjoy a lot of things. If business is your interest, then go on, do your thing, but once again, I say this. It's okay to enjoy life. The average human lifespan is about 70 to 80 years. There's enough time to enjoy life and do what you want to do. So take your time to find something that you actually like. The end goal is about discovering what your true passions are, working towards something meaningful to you. As to what it is, it could be anything, that's for you to decide. Let me know what you think, leave a like, comment, and subscribe.